All right, guys. I'm Siva Thejo Mananda, and I'm sure no one will pronounce it properly. You can all call me Thejo. That's great. And my Twitter handle is Aerobender, like the Airbender is a modified version. So it's like Aerobender. You can reach out to me right there, and that's about it. Let's wait for slides because I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk. So just hold on. I need to see the slides before I could start anything. He wants me to start straight away, but believe me, I'm not prepared for this yet. And there are a lot of people here. Let hope less people know about ice sucking, then that's better. But unfortunately, a lot of guys are here. I didn't expect this much. All right, this talk is essentially about comparing how Symbian died and the rise of Android to see how the paradigm has shifted in the last 5-6 years. It has changed tremendously, and the expectations and requirements have changed as well. So this is like a case study how Android succeeded and Symbian failed to see that. All right, and this is not analytical. I'm not going to show you any graphs or statistics. Don't worry, I don't have anything. These are my personal experience. I am a developer and I am a user of devices. So this is my completely personal opinion, and there is no statistical reference to show. So you can't sue me if I'm wrong. All right. Symbian is the perfect mobile OS. Back in 2005, it used to be the greatest device of them all. And that exactly is the reason why it failed. It is a mobile phone OS. It's not a mobile computing platform. And we don't want any mobile phones anymore. We want mobile computing platforms. That's what we are talking about. We don't have any 176 by 160 screens. We don't have 240 by 332. Maybe we do that. We do have it, but not anymore. We are growing fast. We are talking about tablets with quad-core processors, 512 MB RAM, 1 gig RAM. Symbian just doesn't scale up to that. And that exactly is the reason why it failed. And we'll see how it goes according to the slide. Let's see. All right. I'm just trying to talk in two perspectives, from a coder perspective and from a user perspective. So just to see how our requirements are changing rapidly. All right, it's mostly all about developers. Developers. That's what it's about nowadays. Earlier, it used to be a time where mobile phone OS manufacturers demanded developers, look, if you want money, just do as we say. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's just developers, and you beg developers, come on, guys, please do something. That's how it has changed. Now you don't demand going, okay, look, this is how you should do it, or else you can go to hell. It doesn't work like that. We have to, OS manufacturers, Google is paying Angry Birds, Rovio to develop Angry Birds for Chrome. That's how it's changing. So it's not about OS manufacturers anymore. I'm not talking about Apple here. I'm talking about other people. Apple is like portable reality distortion field. It works with developers as well. So let's say for developers, like we have to learn something before you can code, right? We don't want a steeper learning curve. We want something quickly learnable. We want something that is easy to adapt. Let's say for Symbian, it was C++ and Qt. C++ has a steeper learning curve than any other language. And it's hard to maintain code as well. And Qt, it adds another layer of complication on top of one. All right, so you have to learn C++ and then you have to learn Qt. So it just doesn't work. Because developers are too busy doing other cool stuff. They don't have time to learn your language, learn your framework, and then develop for you. So just don't expect developers to, you throw in a new framework and say, look, learn this, then you can develop. It doesn't work. So you have to be smooth with the developers. So everyone wants to smooth the learning curve. You don't want to introduce a new framework. You just go with the flow. And then don't design kick-ass develop-only APIs. It just doesn't work. There are how many percentage of developers are kick-ass? I'm not. I'm a developer. I'm not a kick-ass developer. Let's face it. Most of us not are. So it doesn't work like that. You have to be simple. It has to be simple framework. It has to be simple API. You don't say let's say if you want to use thread, use active objects. It doesn't work. You have to let's say okay, don't introduce new terms. Don't introduce new technologies. Go with the flow. And if you look at the Symbian framework, it has a lot of features. It has a lot of potential, and it's really powerful. And that is one of the reasons why it failed, because no one was ever potentially using it. They were using the lesser function, but not up to the mark. So that is one of the reasons why Symbian failed. And if you see Android development kit, you have the basic Java development kit. On top of that, you have the native development kit. So if you want, you can go for native development kit. If you don't, then fine. You can write hello world program happily. And of course, you need a stable publishing platform. Let's see, in Android, we have Android Market, and on Symbian, it's OV Store, I guess. These days, they are still using OV Store, right? So what's the problem with OV Store is like they change policies every now and then. They change the interface. They change the way you publish stuff. So it takes developers to adapt, even the existing one. So it just doesn't work. But with the Android store, everything is smooth. You have a Google account, fine. Go with it. That's all. Believe me, I'm not a kick-ass developer, as I told you, but it took me like 1 hour to develop an application and publish it to the Google market. It's not possible with OV Store. I believe it because I tried. So it didn't work very well. So you have to have a publishing platform for developers to publish on. And of course, have a solid revenue generation framework. No one wants to write applications for free. Of course, you can write basic applications for free, but think about games. Let's say Angry Birds consumes some resource. It takes time. It takes effort. They are getting paid by this ad framework, but there's no proper revenue generation framework for OV Store. But there are paid applications, but people don't want to buy paid applications. No one wants to send their credit card to say, okay, look, I want to pay this. They don't want it. They want free applications, but there has to be some way of generating revenue. That's where these in-app purchases and ads come in. Let's say you have an app, it's a game, you buy it, you play 4 levels. Now after playing the 4 levels, the app says, okay, if you want to play the 5th level, you pay. That's a good deal for the user and for the developer. If the user doesn't want it, he can go ahead and uninstall. That's no problem. He gets 4 levels for fun. So it has to be something like that. And of course, there are ads. Let's look at this use case. All right, in a Nokia phone, I download an application. It works on, it's supported by ads. So I launched the app. Nokia asked whether I want to allow the phone to connect to the internet. I say no, because it's going to consume money. Then the app says, look, if you don't allow me to connect to the internet, I'm not going to work. And the app quits. What user does is straight away go and uninstall it. So what you are doing is, at the OS level, you are preventing revenue generation. At the lowest possible level, you are preventing generation of revenue. And you are saying, this is some sort of evil app, it's trying to connect to the internet. So no one wants to do that. It's a warning message, and people get frightened. So that's not going to work anymore. So developers want a solid revenue generation platform that they can rely on. If you say Android, it doesn't work like that. When you install an application, it says it's going to ask you for internet connectivity. Do you agree? You say yes, and it's never going to bother you. So it's going to work throughout the life cycle of your device. So that's how it should be. That's how developers want it these days.